Optimism isn't sunshine and rainbows. It's fixing things, changing the way we fix things. It's running the world on smarter energy. Because if optimism never stops, then change can't either. GE Vernova, the energy of change.
When I wake up, well, I know I'm gonna be the man who wakes up next to you. When I go out, yeah, I know I'm gonna be the man who goes along with you. If I get
Oh, it's the big time Oklahoma and Michigan, 6:30 Saturday night, Norman, Oklahoma. Don't have to worry about ESPN Plus with this one. It's going to be on ABC. She'll broadcast. Everyone and their dog will be tuning in. Welcome to the Sooner Nation podcast. He's Caleb. I'm Matt. Caleb, let's just jump into this, man. Last week we talked a lot about Oklahoma, the football team in general, but this game is so huge that outside of the SEC power rankings, we're going to spend most of our time talking specifically Oklahoma and Michigan. So say hi to everybody, and then let me know when you're ready for my first true or false bomb I'm going to throw your way.
Yeah, I'm excited. I feel like Norman's going to be electric today. Should be a really big game for the Sooners. Kudos for you for saying SEC power rankings and not Big 12 power rankings.
Yes.
But no, I'm ready to get into this.
Yeah, transitioning to the SEC, I know it's year 2, but man, after so many years of covering Big 12 football, it's hard not to say Big 12, but I'm getting better at it. I'm a work in progress. All right, well, let's jump into it. I've got 3 true or false questions, and you've got some over-under questions to throw back at me. So we're just going to jump in here with the very first one. Oklahoma, Michigan, all 3 of these pertaining to that game. True or false? Despite the lack of success last week, running the ball is Oklahoma's best chance for success against Michigan on they're the Michigan defense.
I'm going to say false. I feel like we definitely will run the ball better than we did last week. I feel like we do need to establish the run game, but the best offensive player for the Sooners on the field Saturday is going to be John Mateer. So letting him do what he did against Illinois State and sling it, I understand that he's probably not going to set any records this week, but John Mateer can ball in Oklahoma for one game and at Washington State all of last season. Through the air is how we're going to win this game.
Man, see, that's the thing is that I think they have to be balanced. I think you have to run the ball. I'm not saying that they can't win the game without running the football, but I'm saying if you can't be balanced on offense, I think this Michigan defense, particularly up front, I know there were guys out. I know what the offensive line that started Illinois State will not be the offensive line that starts Michigan. I get all that, but I'm not. There wasn't enough there to sell me on the offensive line. I'm sold on Michigan's defensive line, and I'm worried if you can't be balanced. I'm not saying you can't win the game averaging 3.3 or 3.4 yards per carry. I'm saying this makes it really, really tough to win the game averaging that much. And if you can be balanced, I think that's your best chance to let Mateer do what Mateer does. So I'm going to disagree with you on that. Let's go into the second one. True or false? Oklahoma must blitz Bryce Underwood in order to keep him uncomfortable.
100%. This is going to be his first road game in college. It's going to be his first big-time game in college. You got to keep – here's the thing. Bryce Underwood is a fantastic athlete, and he's going to be a fantastic football player. Keeping him uncomfortable is the key to success. Do not let him get in rhythm, and do not let him just kind of feel like he's the man back there. Keep knocking him on the ground, even if they're doing quick passes. Get pressure in his face to where he has to pick himself off the ground every single play.
Yeah, I think that's the thing with the blitz. They counter with quick passes, which means you're going to have to be a press up with the defensive backs. Great point about him being a true freshman, first big time road, not just big time road game, first road game in general. Um, I just don't know if you have to blitz though. I want to see them make him uncomfortable, but I think you can also make him uncomfortable by disguising coverages, making him hold that ball for an extra second or two. What they did with those safeties, man, I was so impressed with Oklahoma's safeties. I don't know if you got to listen to my post game podcast from Saturday night, but I was so impressed with what Oklahoma did with their safeties, and I think you could do some things disguising coverages and so forth. But blitzing, they didn't really do that against Illinois State. I do expect that to be a thing, and that's part of making him uncomfortable. So I agree with you on that. You got to blitz because you want him guessing. What is that safety doing? What is that linebacker doing? But I think they can also do some things with coverages, disguising coverages and so forth that might make him a little bit uncomfortable as well. But I think we're pretty much in agreement on that one. Here's my final one. Look, national broadcast, ABC's got this game. We know that College Game Day is going to be there. This will be the game of the week across the nation. Everyone's going to be talking about it. All of the morning shows are going to cover it. So here it is, true or false? With the hype surrounding this game, the winner immediately enters the college football playoff conversation.
I'm going to say true, simply because, you look at Florida State. Florida State came into last week unranked. They beat Alabama pretty handily, and now they went from being, okay, what can this Florida State team be? Can they kind of make a push in the ACC? Can they go even in the ACC, to kind of just being catapulted to being a team that a lot of people think can win the ACC?
So yeah, here's my thing. In that here's my problem with this statement. I have a hard time. I have a hard time putting people in or taking people out whenever when we're talking about college football playoffs. Man, we're going into week 2. You had 0, 1, and now 2, and I worry, man. For example, everyone takes Texas out of the conversation for losing at Ohio State last week. I don't think Texas is out of that conversation. And it's the same thing with Oklahoma and Michigan. I don't know that either one of these will be in or out in week 2. Now, I think it sets you up. I think if Oklahoma, maybe a safer thing to say is if Oklahoma wins this game, they're rolling into the Cotton Bowl, barring some crazy scenario. They're rolling into the Cotton Bowl 5-0 against Texas. Then you set yourself up for the playoff conversation. That's the way I look at it. But I know the hype is there. The hype is real. I just have a hard time putting people in or taking people out. I don't think Florida State is in the playoff conversation. Look, I know what they're saying. That of our Friday locks last week, that's the only game I won. I went 1-2 last week, and the one I locked was Florida State. I'm turning on Alabama because of the injuries on the defensive side of the ball. Now I don't know where they're going to be mentally moving forward. So I don't know that Alabama's out if they get everybody healthy. I don't know if Florida State's in because I don't think that was a great Alabama team they beat. So it's just crazy going into week 2 to me to talk about college football playoff, but it is the world which we live in. So let's move on. You've got anything else you want to say or take away or whatever from what I just said?
No, and I don't necessarily disagree with you about the playoff hunt race. I think, so many times you get these teams that have these big non-conference wins early that kind of get catapulted. But I don't know if Oklahoma's going to be a playoff team. But if they start, I feel like they're going to be thrown that nation just because they beat another Power 5 opponent.
Well, right, and it's again, that's just the nature of the beast because it is the game of the week. You've got game day there. I mean, you've got everybody there. So that's you're not wrong, is what I'm saying. For me, I don't think anybody's in or anybody's out right now, except for maybe Georgia. All right, so let's move on to let's go with your true or false questions. No, I did true or false. Let's go with your over under statements, and let's see. Let's keep rolling with this.
Right. So my first one is over under 150 yards rushing for the Sooners on Saturday.
I want it to be over. I think it needs to be over. Um, I'm going to go over. And the reason why I'm banking on what Brent Venables said. All right, Brent Venables said Jay Knott's in a good place mentally. He said that he's almost 100%. Bill Bedenbaugh said the offensive line is going to look different. You got guys that didn't play week one; they're going to play week two, trying to get everybody healthy. I'm going to buy the hype, and I'm going to say to get over 150 because I think that's kind of the floor for this team if they want to come out with a win in this game.
Yeah, and I completely agree with you. I think, especially with the wrinkles we're going to see with John Mateer's rushing abilities, I feel like that 150 should be an easy mark to hit in 4 quarters. All right, my second one for you is over under 4.5 tackles for loss for the Sooner defense.
Oh, for the defense as a whole.
Yes.
Oh, heck yeah, man! Give me the over on that all day because they're going to be doing things. Think about the pressure they got. And I know it was Illinois State, right? But you could just kind of see them join it in the running game after what they saw from Illinois State last week. But man, they just took so much away from Illinois State's passing attack, and they're like try to beat us for the ground, and they couldn't. I think this is a different monster defensively. I do think you see different stunts and blitzes. I think yes, absolutely. I would give you over on 4.5 tackles for loss.
And my last one involves something we didn't see Saturday, but over under 1.5 made field goals for the Sooners.
First of all, how crazy was it that they didn't kick a field goal? I mean, 5 touchdowns. Um, I mean, like I know it's a transfer kicker. I think, look, like I said, I believe in this Michigan defensive front. I'm going to say they kick a couple of field goals. I don't want to give away my score prediction. That's why I'm stalling here because I'm thinking about my score prediction and how many field goals might be involved in that. But I think, yeah, let me go ahead and take 2 field goals from you because I don't think they score 5 touchdowns on Michigan. Give me your thoughts though, real fast before we move to the next segment. Give me your thoughts on. I know you obviously couldn't jump on the podcast Sunday night to talk about post game, but I think you went through like a mental cleansing, so to speak, right? Because you were a little bit frustrated when the game ended. I know you picked Oklahoma to score like 63 points. Tell me where you were at the end of the game Saturday night and where you are now with Michigan approaching.
Yeah, I was very flustered just simply because, I was like, here we go again. Just mediocre offense. Couldn't really do much against an FCS school. But then, I take a step back and I see, oh, John Mateer broke Baker Mayfield's record for most yards in the first appearance as a Sooner.
Right.
And then you look and you have, uh, is it what is his name? Keon Lewis?
Kentavious.
It's definitely not Contavious.
Kentez. Sorry. Now you're Keontez Lewis.
Yeah, him with 100 and almost basically 120 yards receiving. Jaron Kanik with almost 100 yards receiving. Deion Burks 88 yards receiving. That's something we simply did not see. Like we'd be lucky to have 120 yards receiving total from last season, let alone through one
Right.
player. And I do think, you know, it was very basic from the offense. There wasn't a lot of razzle dazzle. Hey, let's try to stretch it out. They didn't put a lot on tape. And, arguably the best running back that we've been told we've had only had one carry.
For
So
-3 yards.
-3 yards. And then you take your two starting tackles are out. Jake Taylor goes out sixth place, 8 plays in, something like that. So you had a lot of movement. So I felt a lot better Sunday, kind of like rewatching it, kind of de debriefing what happened instead of just taking it all in that raw emotion.
Yeah. You said definitely not Kentavious. Man, that's the hard part about recording podcasts, especially when you're doing it live like this. Is like especially new names. Like I can't even not say Big 12. Now I got to throw out some new guy's name. Speaking of that, did you see totally off the rails here? Did you see Oklahoma's newest
Yes, the
commitment?
kid from Rejoice Christian.
Yeah, tell me how that name's pronounced.
Yeah, I'm not even gonna attempt it.
Hey, this is the Sooner Nation podcast. We're going to talk about our SEC power rankings in just a second. All right, Caleb, I bought in on Saturday with what I saw from Oklahoma, and I think what coupled that was really what I saw from the rest of the SEC. I think Auburn flashed a decent game at Baylor. That was an impressive win. I don't think I picked Auburn to lose, but I picked them to cover that spread. I I clearly think Georgia had the best win to open up the season in the SEC. I think LSU right there with them. Um, Alabama's loss, man, that was just a bad loss. Um, People are quick to jump on how Florida State's back. Alabama better hope Florida State's back, or that's just going to keep looking worse and worse and worse. Because that's a kind of loss that if you drop 2 games in conference, people are going to remember that loss in terms of ranking you for the playoffs. So I bought in. I moved Oklahoma up. I think you kept Oklahoma at number 8 still, right, in your power rankings.
Yeah, I mean, really, don't think there's a lot of movement in my top eight. Um, Simply because I just want to see some more. Um, and I'm really waiting to see what Oklahoma can do against Michigan to kind
Uh-huh.
of get a fair assessment of what this team's going to be.
Well, go ahead. You've got them at 8. I got Oklahoma at 5 this week in the SEC. So tell me about 7 and 6. Who do you have?
So at number seven, I have Tennessee.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Tennessee's kind of went out there, and I had some questions of can this offense kind of be what they were last year, even though this offense wasn't good.
Mm-hmm.
And I get it, Syracuse is not that great, but Tennessee looked really, really solid against Syracuse. And so I couldn't really justify moving Oklahoma up. And at number six, Florida, I get Florida played Long Island, but they still put up some pretty impressive numbers, and it's looked really solid as well.
Mm-hmm. I'm just going to talk about Tennessee. I'm going to hold off on Florida for a second. You'll understand why. I was more worried. If I'm a Volunteers fan, I'm more concerned what I saw defensively from the Vols than what I saw offensively. I know that was the big story going in with the whole quarterback situation. By the way, Nico looked terrible for UCLA late that night. But I got more concerns about that Tennessee defense than I do the offense right now. Um, I'm going to hold my thoughts on Florida. Who do you have at number 5?
Number five, I have Texas A&M.
Okay.
Um, you know, they had a solid win against, not solid, like a solid performance against UTSA.
Uh huh.
Um, you know, kind of the same thing like you have with Tennessee is this defense kind of gave up a little bit against a UTSA team that's not that great. Um, so I'm kind of waiting to see what they can look like later on this season.
Okay. I'm sorry. You that was at number 5, right?
Yes.
All right. So that's where I have Oklahoma. at number 5, and we've talked about it. If you don't know my thoughts on Oklahoma after Illinois State, you should go back and listen 2 podcasts ago. I've got at number 4. I've got Florida, and that's why I was holding off comments on them because again, not a big time opponent, but they looked good. They looked crisp. They looked clean. They looked like they had a clue as to what they were doing. And that's what I'm talking about. How the Alabama game just looked so bad. It's not because they lost on the road to Florida State. It's how they looked while they were losing. They didn't look like they had a clue offensively at times, and they definitely didn't look like they could line up or even tackle defensively. Florida, when you play games like this, it's like Oklahoma, Illinois State last week. You want to look at how crisp does this team, execute. And I thought, I mean, again, I know it's a different level of competition even than what Oklahoma was playing, but I thought in many ways they looked more with it, more together, particularly offensively than what Oklahoma did. So I've got the Gators at number 4. Who do you have there at number 4?
And number 4, I got South Carolina.
Right.
I've been high on this team. Even last season, I was pretty high on this team. I feel that they kind of had a disappointing performance. Uh, I say that it was two
Mm-hmm.
touchdown victory over a powerful opponent, Virginia Tech. But I feel like this offense is going to get clicking. This defense is going to get stuff figured out, and this is going to be a really solid football team.
Yeah. I I'm I didn't change South Carolina. I have them exactly. They're my Oklahoma. I have them exactly where I had them a week ago. Tell me who you got at number 3.
At number 3, I have Texas. I
Okay.
know that they lost Saturday, but it's not like they lost to an unranked team. They lost to the
Mm-hmm.
number 3 team in the country, the defending national champions. And really, what really kept them in my top 3 was this defense looked really, really, really good.
Right.
I have faith. I don't want to say I have faith, but I know that Stark is going to get this stuff figured out and get this offense rolling. And so I still feel like Texas is still a team to be messed with in this SEC season.
Yeah, I've got them at number 3 as well. 14-7 on the road at number 3 Ohio State, who is number 1. Now that's not shameful. They do slide because I had them number 1 last week. So they do slide for me. But like I said earlier, I don't know that you count them out because what you just said about Sark. I mean, Sark is he's an offensive guy, and I think it's easier to get caught up offensively than it is defensively. It's just what do they have in Manning? How can they get him some confidence? Because he definitely looked like a quarterback who needed confidence, and they've got a few games now to try to get that worked out with him. So I kept the Texas in the top 3, putting the Longhorns at number 3 for me. Number 2, I've got LSU. Definitely a statement win. I think was Clemson was number 4. That's a neutral site game. Man, I I was high on Garrett Nussmeier, but holy cow, that LSU defense I thought looked fantastic. I mean, I would use the word suffocating to describe the LSU defense, and I clearly think they're the biggest threat to Georgia in the SEC after just one full week of conference play of play within the conference teams playing games. How's that? Who you got at number 2?
I got Georgia at number 2.
Uh-huh.
I still think there's some question marks around this team. I get that they looked good, but they played Marshall. I
Right.
think Gunnar Stockton had a really impressive start to the season, and that was really
Yes.
my biggest question mark is what could Gunnar Stockton be? The defense also looked like what they've had in the past, but I mean, you've had Georgia teams have great starts, and when they get to conference play and they get to that little higher level competition, you see the quarterback play, you see the receivers just kind of just digress.
Mm-hmm. So that's going to put LSU at number 1 for you, right?
Yes, correct. I mean, for all the reasons you just said, I expected this offense to look good, which they did, and I expected this defense to look good, but they look great. They looked like the best defense in the country. Dabo Swinney and Garrett Riley, two of the greatest offensive minds in college football at the moment, and they looked completely and utterly stumped.
Mm-hmm. Like they were good, and that was in terms of big time competition, that was a big time game and big time win. I'm going to go back to Georgia because I saw your face when I said I think the Bulldogs had the most impressive win in the conference. And here's the reason why. Yes, it was 45-7. It was Marshall, right? But when you think of Georgia, the very first thing that typically comes to your mind is defense. Like they've got Kirby Smart is a defensive minded coach. They're gonna have a defensive first type team, kind of like the old Bob Stoops formula. You fix the defense and then you let the offense catch up. But dang man, Gunnar Stockton in that receiver room, they look freakishly athletic to me. That they look scary. And when you right, Marshall, okay, but still, look if that's even if they are even 2/3 of that, what we saw going into conference play, because obviously you're going to take a step back. Oklahoma's going to take a step back against Michigan on Saturday night. But how much of a step back do you take? Because that offense looked so explosive to me. And I looked at do you play clean? Do you execute? Do you look like you know what you're doing? And for me, it was all right there. So I've got Georgia number one. Just to recap: Georgia number one, LSU number two, Texas three, Florida four, Oklahoma five. Give me your top eight because you got the Sooners at number eight.
Okay, so I have Oklahoma number 8, Tennessee number 7, Florida number 6, A&M number 5, South Carolina number 4, Texas 3, Georgia 2, and LSU 1.
All right, well, let's jump back into Oklahoma, Michigan as we get ready to close this out. Sooners, Wolverines, Saturday night. Finish this statement, Caleb. I will be satisfied if you're leaving the stadium, you're turning off your TV Saturday night. I'll be satisfied if.
Honestly, I feel like the only way I'm going to be satisfied Saturday is if we win. I think this is a must-win for the Sooners.
Yeah.
This is a must-win for Brent Venables. You drop this game, everybody's going to be coming for Venables' head. Everybody's
Right.
going to give up on the Sooners team 2 games into the season. So this is a must-win. And so I don't care if our offense looks really good, but we drop this game. I'm only going to be satisfied if we win.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm satisfied with a win. I mean, I don't care if it's ugly. I don't. I don't care if they have to come back and win it in the fourth quarter. I don't care if Michigan comes back and Oklahoma holds on and wins by a toenail. I don't care about any of that. What I care about is can they win this game? And that's the only way I'm satisfied. If you're up 35-3 and you win 35-34, guess what? I'm satisfied. If you're down 28-3, homage to Baylor, and then you come back and you win 34-31 or whatever that was, I'm satisfied. I want to see them win this game for all the reasons that you just said. This is probably the most, in my opinion. Let me throw this out here, and you tell me if you agree or disagree. I think this is probably the most pivotal game of Brent Venables' tenure at the University of Oklahoma.
Oh, 100%. You after the first season is excusable. You
Right.
have a big roster change over. Second season, 10-3. You look to be right on track, and then the third season, you just drop the ball, and you drop the ball hard. Venables has to prove that he can coach in big games consistently, and that this program is back on track for where it needs to be.
Yeah, I agree because this is we said earlier the litmus test, and that's the word that Venables used in his press conference this week. This is a litmus test. We're all going to see where this program is, but I think more so we're going to see where Brent Venables is, and that's the thing. I mean, I'm a huge Brent Venables fan, and I've said from the get go, I think this is the season that he gets it done and shows everybody that he is the coach we thought we were getting when he came to Norman. But it is year number 4. And so you got paying those dividends back. You overhaul of the offense. The defense is, I think, is on such good, solid foundation. But you got to get it done. This is your home field, and you've got a true freshman quarterback. You cannot lose this game. You absolutely cannot lose this game if you're Oklahoma, because it changes everyone's perception of you. They said they're going to say everyone's going like, yeah, this Oklahoma team, they could be different. They've got the parts to be different. If you lose this game, all of a sudden, year 2 with Dylan Gabriel, that becomes the anomaly. And if you're Brent Venables, that's not what you want. If you're a fan of this program, that's not what you want. So, yeah, that's why I'll be satisfied just with the win. And that's why I'll be satisfied with even if it's by a half a point. I know it's not possible to win by half a point, but you get what I'm saying. This is absolute must-win territory for this team. Talk about some of the specifics with this game. Oklahoma sits right now, according to FanDuel, the Sooners sit as a 5.5, 5.5. What is wrong with me? 5.5 point favorites, and the over/under is sitting here at 45.5. So before you give me your score prediction, answer this question: is Oklahoma going to cover the 5.5?
Yes.
Okay. Is this game going to hit the over or the under?
Under.
Okay. See, you and I are opposite right now. I say Oklahoma will not cover the 5.5, and I think this game hits the over. So that said, Caleb, give me your score prediction.
I have 27 14
Okay.
Sooners. I think this is going to be a game where both teams are going to try to own the clock. I think this will be a game where both defenses shine. I think having the more veteran quarterback is going to greatly benefit the Sooners, right. And I just think that's kind of what gives us the edge.
Okay. I've got the same score for Oklahoma as you, 27, but I'm with more points. I've got 27-23, and I think there's going to be some mistakes. I think this is a pressure game. Pressure brings mistakes, and I think both sides make mistakes, and I think that might be one of the situations that keeps this game closer. I still Oklahoma win this game a little bit more field goal, but that doesn't cover the 5.5. I think they hit the over, so I got 27-23. Sooners, and hopefully over the weekend we're back talking about what a great victory this is. And now you look at that schedule heading into Texas, and Auburn stands out next after this game, but you got a good shot at going into the Cotton Bowl at 5-0. 6:30 ABC kickoff. I mean, you got to be there, you got to watch it, and then Ken and I will be back to talk about it over the weekend. Any parting shots, any last words, any final thoughts?
Not really. I think it's going to be a great game. I'm kind of with you. I'm hoping we can come back Sunday and talk about, how great this offense looked, how bright a future this team has, and we don't have to do a doom and gloom podcast.
Yeah, definitely do not want that. All right, that's going to do it for us on this episode of the Sooner Nation podcast. Again, thanks for everyone for tuning in. Thanks for subscribing. Thanks for liking. Have a great weekend and enjoy your football. I'm gonna be the man who's